know you enjoyed part one. Guess what we have for you? We actually have a part two, the leading men of Hollywood. So sit back and relax and enjoy. This is part two coming up right now. You know, this is Good Deeds, and I'm Dr. Renee Sunday.
And we have an audience predominantly of people of color. And as they are getting into Hollywood, any issue, anything that they have to particularly be aware of? Or is it just, you know what, at the end of the day, follow your dream, and no matter what color you are, you can be successful?
Well, it's different now because we have so many different avenues for you to get out your vision, your unique vision of what makes you special as a storyteller right now. So, you know, you got it differently than what we've had before, where there was only a few places. My thing is, my best advice to any of you is just do what you know, do what you feel is special, and do what you feel that you're passionate about. Even if it's only your mama telling you, you know, you're gonna do it, baby. Like, you know, I mean, I had so many people telling me, you know, ain't no white people gonna let no black people make no movies. And I had to be like, nobody's gonna let me do nothing. I'm gonna take it. You know, that was my attitude, you know what I'm saying? That was my attitude. No, it's not about letting somebody do something. I gotta take it. And I, you know, and because I had so much success at a young age, I never took it for granted. With that, I said, okay, I gotta continue to take it and continue to have a preservation of who I am, and also the complexity of who we are. You know, not just showing one vision of who we are or being very uncaring about who we are. I have to, you know, show who we are with sensitivity, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you know, with heart and emotion, with candor, you know, and everything doesn't have to necessarily be flippant and funny, you know, but it also doesn't have to be so serious as to not be accessible to regular folks. Anything I do, there's a higher meaning than what I'm doing. Even a movie like Baby Boy, there's something in there. If you watch it on reflection, there's stuff in there that
Guns and butter.
There's a lot, yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there that like is just me having a dialogue with the audience about, with my community about what I feel is very, very important in terms of like people, even if there's not a traditional family, that there is a generation that should be thinking about the preservation of having some type of unit to move forward in our communities.
Love it. Brian, I saw you.
Yeah, I think that right now in Hollywood, the opportunity has never been greater for people of color because there's a demand for the content. And our stories haven't been told. We've been depicted as basically two types of characters, you know, the haves and the have-nots, and nothing in between. You know, there's the ones of us that have money and the ones of us that represent everything else, but there's so many differences. Every person in this room is an individual, and like what Malik and Laz were saying, Hollywood's really looking for right now the people that know what they knew at the beginning of their career, who they were, what they want to portray, and aren't going to be knocked off that road, because every single one of your stories, if you portray it authentically, is brand new for Hollywood. We've never heard any of your stories. If we were all Caucasian, we've heard versions of most of those stories. There have been so many more movies and TV shows made about those type of characters. So I think it's a huge opportunity for people to bring themselves to the business right now, because we haven't seen all that our community has to offer. Not even, you know, if we were Baskin Robbins and there's 31 flavors, we've only seen 2 or 3 flavors. We got all these other stories and flavors to tell and share with the world. And now that we're producing and we're financing and we're running studios, directing huge franchises, we can tell different shades of stories, all the subtleties in between. And that's our opportunity. That's how we get hidden figures. That's how we get hustle and flow. Those 2 characters can't even be in the same movie. They're from different worlds, but that's what's beautiful about Hollywood and the opportunity that we have in front of us now.
And then I think also, if I could just piggyback on what Brian's saying, you know, having been in the business now for a certain number of years, you know, well over 15 years, I've seen it come and go. You know, I've seen the networks fill up their roster with all black shows, and then I've seen them cancel them. You know, and it happens in cycles, but when they cancel them, we haven't gone anywhere, we're still there. I still get people asking me about shows that I was on, you know, 5, 6 years ago. Is Deception coming back? No, it ain't coming back. Shout out to Making Good.
Shout out to Making Good. What's up, man? What's up, man?
But the thing is, you know, to build on what Brian said, which I think is a good point, is, you know, you have a story to tell, and you also have an audience to build. and whether, you know, the powers that be decide that they're either gonna take buy your story and put it out there or not, your responsibility is to your audience. Because that's who you bring with you. You know, when Issa Rae made Insecure, it was her audience that built Issa Rae. It was her audience that got HBO to reach out to her. You know, that's not to say that, you know, she didn't work hard and she didn't have to push for it and sell her, you know, her ideas, but her audience is what created that, and that should always be who you work for. That's who you really work for, is your audience. You know, when I'm portraying a character on screen, I feel like I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to every black man out there, and that is to not paint you with a broad brush. Whether it's a good character or a bad character, I want everybody that watches that character to say that was him, not, oh, that's how black men are.
Shout out to Sterling K. Brown.
And that's the work that Malik is talking about when he said, no, I'm not gonna do that TV dinner, I'm gonna cook my son a meal. Right. That's doing your work, that's being a leading man, that's taking a page, you get a pen and paper and you get up in there, you know, y'all millennials, y'all got iPads. You know, you can write on them now, they got pens for iPads, but you are doing the work, you are taking what's on the page as a skeleton, and now you are building this character, and you are being responsible for the images that you tell, because as he said, that writing on the wall is going to be there forever. And we have a responsibility to each other to always tell the right story.
And I think, just to piggyback on that, sometimes you have to be subversive, right? So one thing that I think can be a detriment to all of us if we lead without gender, if we lead without ethnicity, sometimes. A lot of times people, oh, it's so hard for black folks. Like, nah, like we're humans first. We're God's children first, right?
Amen.
And if our lives are purposed, it doesn't matter, because what is for you will not go past you, period, end of story. But you have to know and believe that. And that increase in faith comes through the success. Right? As a little kid, I gave my teachers my autograph when I was 13. I did. I was like, I'm gonna be famous, you should keep this. But think about it, not because I had a TV in the house. And the fame wasn't about television. Right. But my father was the dude that would travel upstate New York and pick up literally half a cow from his friend's farm and take it and distribute the meat to people who were in need, or pick up a 50-pound bag of rice and deliver it to Philly to a poor Muslim family. I was born Muslim, actually. That's where my name comes from. And so my father was incredibly altruistic. And so that's so much of the service mentality that I have comes from that kind of upbringing. But then in the subversive part, like you said, yeah, I would tell little G to kiss me if it wasn't scripted. Because I knew the power of seeing a young black man get affection from his son was powerful, right? And so I think that it's really important that we do that, we own those images. And so this year has been actually a really great year, because literally in the last few months I worked on 6 different projects. And to Laz's point, I get to be 6 different types of black men. And even if I choose to wear a bald head and a goatee, I make sure that there's nuances in each one of them. I just did a show called 7 Seconds with Regina King for Netflix. And so while I was preparing to do that, one of my dudes that just came out of, I'm so proud of this kid, Devon Simmons, remember that name. He did 15 years, he was locked up since 17 years old. He was the first graduate of the Prisoner College Pipeline program at John Jay College that a friend of mine started, but he's also at Columbia Film School now with Jamal. Wow. And so I'm watching Devon do an interview on Hot 97 with Ebro in the morning on the video. And Devon is wearing a Yankee cap. And I'm thinking, and I had a conversation with the wardrobe folks about what I was gonna wear on 7 Seconds. And I saw this interview with Devon, I was like, Yankee cap. Not only did I wear the Yankee cap, I wore Devon's Yankee cap. I invited him to set. But then the characterization, just very subtly, the way I play the dude, I'm saying to my man, I ain't never seen my man on TV like this, you know what I mean? Like, it's that type of dude that gotta have a certain level of sensitivity and a certain kind of swag about him, because you know the people need to feel that, because you know what I mean? I ain't feel my man, no, I'm saying, yo, John, feel me on this, son. Feel this, son. You know what I mean? I had to give it a little flavor, because I'm saying, like, my man Devon, I ain't never seen him on TV.
Right.
No, so it's little subtle subversive things that we can do. Yeah, I'm doing the show, The Last OG, with Tracy Morgan right now, where we play some guys that used to hustle in New York, and he goes away to jail and comes out, and the same thing, even though the character looks a certain way, there's a subversive message that is in the work to say, I need to represent these black men that I haven't seen.
That's right.
And give them a certain amount of vulnerability, give them a certain amount of sensitivity, so that when that person sees them in the street, Philando Castile, right? They may think twice, because I've also I've been in jams with police. In fact, this one cop, literally twice this past week, pulled me over in New York.
Cop.
Same cop.
In New York.
Third time total, yes. Twice on a bicycle. Swear to God, I'm on the bike. I'm on the bike. He pulled me over yesterday morning. He pulled me over last week in my car for going 45 and a 35. Then he pulled me over yesterday morning on my way to spin class because I was late and I'm going in the wrong direction. Same cop. But the point is this, because of the roles that I've portrayed, I'm able to have a kind of dialogue with this guy, not because of the fame, because there's a lot of famous assholes. I know some fame. So you can be
Bless
famous.
you, Lord, bless you.
But there's a level, and it's what Liz is saying about the.
You got it. We got the point. Amen. Thank you, Malik. Man, Bishop about to walk down here and shut the panel down. Lord have mercy.
But no, the point is that we can be subversive. We can be subversive with our work and make sure that we represent the types of people and give them humanity first. And like you said, you don't want to judge your characters. You want to, just present them in the best light. I think it's the humanity, vulnerability, and sensitivity. And it's something that white actors, Asian actors and Latino actors actually have to deal with the same idea, because we don't see ourselves enough. So we feel an added sense of responsibility
to maximize the moments when we
What's
do
that?
To be able to maximize those moments when you do
Yeah,
get
because
seen.
we know we're representing an underrepresented population.
I think it's great.
Just interject real quick, and then we want to go to Q&A. Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
No, but what to expound upon what Malik is saying is that what you're doing is part and parcel of that those people that you studied under at Negro Ensemble Company, all those people from Sam to Denzel to Adolph Caesar, they were working at a time in which they were the one or two black people on the set, and they always did that. Coming out of theater, they felt they had a responsibility with everything they do to elevate us within their own individual performance, and then also to be very, very giving to each other when they have the opportunity to perform with each other. When those of you who are actors or aspiring actors, when you get together and everything, you have a collective responsibility to each other. You have to. It's just like when musicians get together and they play and they get each other's rhythms and make great music. You have a responsibility to take that into whatever project you're going into.
Okay. Are you guys enjoying? Are you like hearing this knowledge? I'm telling you, no one else in the world is getting this level of knowledge from such a diverse spectrum of experience. So we have a few moments left to do Q&A. Now again, we have our Holy Ghost guards, okay? They're armed. They will take you out. If it's no pitching, a question. No comments, a question. Please, the mics are right here in the aisles. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the next few minutes.
I have a question. It was mentioned
And give us your name real quick. And then
my
ask
name
the
is
question.
Athena Reed.
Hey, Athena.
And I have a question about the thick skin. Now, how does a person recover from bad press after presenting so much positivity. You know, like Bill Cosby, he's in the limelight for.
Yo, I was called a crackhead after Empire. I don't know if y'all saw that. So I can speak directly to that because that's never happened in my career, ever. And so, faith is the short answer. If you understand what your purpose to do, no weapons formed against you, you know the rest. That's what it is.
I just want to say simply, if you're on the path and there's people off the path throwing sticks at you, just keep walking on the path. You know, they're going to hit you, they're going to fall to the ground, you're going to wipe that off and keep on going. They're going to be 5 miles behind you and that boo-boo's going to heal. Keep it moving.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Trillian Small. I'm interested in writing screenplay movies, so how do I go about pitching ideas to directors and producers?
John, why don't you take that?
There's a difference between you pitching it to people and then you saying, you know, I'm going to make this myself. You know, it may be one of those things where you write the thing, complete the whole screenplay, and then you take certain scenes from it and you shoot it yourself. You know, that's the world I live in. I mean, I lived in that world before I was even started. I was like, I don't think the visions that I was thinking about doing were not going to be somebody like, oh, well, it's like this. You know, but it all depends on what you want to do. It all depends on what you have the wherewithal to be that type of person to make it happen yourself, or you want to come to LA and you have an original idea and come in and pitch it. But I just think it's a harder toll to go and put yourself at the mercy if you have a different vision of people that don't necessarily understand you at all. Even though they're you know, people opening doors more, but it's just hard. It's so hard to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to do this, and it's about this type of person and stuff, because some of these people have never met anybody like you, even when you walk in the room. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next question.
First of all, I just want to thank you all for walking in your gift and your purpose that God has given you. So thank you for that. My question is for John Singleton, and this is by way of my daughter. She wants to produce and direct, and right now her immediate goal is she's going to die or be a production assistant. And so, how can you just tell me what kind of way she can get into? Because right now she's just doing local films for models who want to be full-figure models. She's producing videos for them, and some of her peers who want to have YouTube talk shows. So she's doing that type of thing. But she wants to get to be a production assistant on a bigger level.
It depends if there's local productions, or she's got to go to somewhere else in Texas, Austin, or
No,
or
she's
go to LA.
she's in DC area.
So this, yeah, it depends on what, you know, she walk on the set, find out what's happening, walk on the set, you know, she has to have the wherewithal to walk on the set and talk to people and everything. But since she's shooting that stuff, she's on the right path, because the more stuff you shoot, you know, the better and more confident you get with actually being there and making stuff happen. The first thing I did ever, it's ironic that I'm at Megafest, but this is true. The first thing I ever did in high school was this a producer named Ron Carson, and he had a show called, I'm telling you the truth, the Gospel Train Show, like Soul Train. And
Gospel Train Show?
Gospel Train Show. And every Sunday, we'd go and he'd have the equipment, and we'd go and we would film the church services of 2 churches. We'd have to get up in the morning around 6 a.m. We go to the first service at one church and another one at afternoon service. And he would basically shoot these things for cable access. And I was in charge of camera, I was in charge of, and that was the first thing I did before I even went to film school. So that was my training. I did that for like a year and a half, you know what I mean? You know, so it's like, for your daughter, it's just good to tell her, keep shooting different things, keep working with different personalities, try different things technically. That's what I would tell her. And then when she does go on the set, she can just, if she has a gift for gab and she has the heart, she can say, hey, I've been shooting this, and she casually, casually tell
That she
whoever
doesn't have to get for gab.
Yes, definitely. She's on the right track.
Okay, thank
Tell her
you.
she's up for me. She's on the right track already.
Thank you.
All right.
Also, if I could just say, you have to fish where the fish are. So, I'm from DC, and I love DC, but there's a ton of work in New York, and there's a ton of work in Atlanta. Big movies, big TV shows, commercials.
Especially Atlanta.
She has to be in a place where the work is so plentiful that there are more opportunities than where she may be at the moment.
That's right. Yes, next question.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Anaway. Hi. Thank you for coming, guys. My question has to do with being subversive as an actor. Sometimes when you're acting on set, I'm sorry if I'm being loud.
It's called a microphone.
That's all right. Be loud. We want to hear you. It's okay.
The director will ask you to do or play it a certain way. So what is the balance between giving the director what he or she wants and serving the character the way you feel that character should be served?
Well, it's funny that I'd be up here with John because he directed episode 4 of Empire. And I was thinking about this, and I don't know. I think that it depends on the medium too, right? So in television, because directors will come and go, you have to really be the gatekeeper of the truth for that character. Because a director can come in and doesn't know your character as well as you do if you're on a series because you play it for so long. If
you know the history of the character.
If you're fortunate. If it's a film and it's written, if John writes a film and he's got a vision for who this character is, in that situation, sometimes you really do have to defer more to the director to say, well, you wrote this, you created this. You can say, well, how about this, how about that? If they go, no, I really want you to play it like this. Our job is to be of service to the character. I don't think that's the time to necessarily be subversive. I think, because then they call you undirectable, and you don't want that.
Well, also too, you have to trust your director. You have to trust their vision.
Good.
Well,
If
you're not gonna work on it if
subjective.
If they're good, because directors come from so many different backgrounds, right? So if you're on set, and like I've been fortunate to do I did 10,000 hours on New York Undercover alone on set, right? Edison said that makes you an expert. So if you're working with directors that maybe come from editing, or the director that comes, they were a camera operator and they've never worked with actors.
I'm talking film though.
But even if it's film, no matter where they come from, if they don't have the experience, sometimes it's going to be glaringly obvious to you that they're doing things that you may not agree with, one from an acting standpoint, from a technical standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, and then you're at a crossroads.
That's true. That's definitely true. 100%. I don't disagree. But I guess my main point is that what we do is a team sport. And we become sometimes so attached to our character, and we become so loyal to our character that we have to remember that every scene isn't our scene or our character's scene. What we're doing is we're building an arc for our character. And if we're here and our character arcs in the second act of the story or in the third act, we have to, as a team, trust the director who's looking at the entire story. And sometimes we can. Every situation is different.
The director on the stage. Let me just answer this.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass the mic to John.
Let the director speak, right?
You both have a point. You have to be a giving actor. You can't be a selfish actor when you're dealing with different people. You have to be a giving actor. But to Malik's point, there are a lot of people who don't necessarily have experience with communication with actors. They come from different backgrounds in terms of film. They may be a cameraman, they may be an editor, they may be, the cousin of the producer. You know what I mean? And they're just lucky to be in the room. And I'm sure you had this moment where you had directors, I call them deer in the headlight directors. They have their eyes open, they want to tell you something, but they're scared to tell you what they want to tell you because they're not even confident in what they're telling you is the right thing to do. Am I wrong?
No, or you have a scene, if you shoot a scene, and y'all have seen the movie I'm talking about, there's 8 people in a scene, right? And they call all 8 actors to the set. There's never been 1 ounce of rehearsal. There's a lot of dialogue in the scene. They call first team, as it's called, first team to set. Okay, roll sound. Camera in action. People are fumbling lines and you sitting there with, especially coming from theater, I'm a big fan of rehearsal. I don't think you could ever run your lines enough, ever. Driving the set, hanging in your trailer, run lines so that it's so far in your DNA you don't have to think about it. So the first time this happened with somewhat of a neophyte director, and the script supervisor's trying to keep up and who's got what line, it was a mess. Because of experience, I said to the cast, I was like, yo, we can never let that happen again. Tomorrow, we're meeting in so-and-so's hotel room, we're gonna rehearse this scene before we get to set, so when we get to set the next day, the script supervisor was like, she couldn't keep up the second time because we were on it so fast. And so that's what I mean, sometimes when you're on a film, and you're with these directors and you want to trust them, but hopefully because it is a team sport, they will also defer to people with a little more experience to say, you know what, I'm not really sure how to do this, what do y'all think? Then you know you're in the safety zone.
Brian, jump in. It's funny, you asked a question that you got. I mean, you hear this debate between the director and the actors, this is good, this is good. You know, it's a good conversation. Brian, please.
Was that this information is all accurate, but for all of us that, I haven't been #1 on a TV show called Sheet yet. And I know my job is to go to a set just like when I play football. I'm gonna run 100 miles an hour, the direction I think is perfect, give everything for that play, and then I'm gonna stop and turn around and look at the coach. And wait for my instruction, that's it. That's my job. Until they give me a producer in front of my name, I ain't trying to think about nothing.
Okay, we gotta
I have a producer on some other stuff, and that's a different area, but when you're hired as an actor, you're hired to execute and take direction.
Very true. Our time is running short. We have time just for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Yes. I know. That's what happens when the conversation is good.
Too. We have fun.
Well, I feel blessed. So here's my question. My name is Nicole Robinson. If you had the opportunity to recreate an iconic character from any genre of film during any decade, which character would it be and why?
Who wants to take that? Just one.
I'm sorry.
You have stumped the panel. Congratulations.
I mean, so many come. I would have been Doughboy, how about that?
Doughboy.
Just because John looked at me. No, you know what? I would have been Shaft. We got a story about me playing Shaft.
The young Shaft.